Hey guys, welcome back to Quick Code. Today we're doing another Brainstellar Quant puzzle. This one is called Pattern on Snowflakes. It's a medium problem of probability type. I'll let you guys go over it once. So just to explain what's going on in the problem. So we've been given a type of snowflake called the stellar dendrite. So since we'll have to be defining events because this is a probability problem, I'll just define the event of a snowflake being the stellar dendrite type as SD. And if it's not that type, then we just call that SD bar. And another event is mentioned over here that is of the previous particle being a stellar dendrite. So I'll call that event as PSD, standing for previous stellar dendrite. And if the previous particle was not a stellar dendrite, we just call that PSD bar. So the probability of the snowflake being a stellar dendrite, given the previous snowflake was a stellar dendrite, is given as P, and the probability that the snowflake will be a stellar dendrite, given the previous snowflake was not, would just be PSD bar, right, is equal to Q. And what we've been asked is the probability of a stellar dendrite, right? So this is the question. Now, the way you go about solving this problem is, well, initially, first of all, just by playing around, at least we can say that the probability of a stellar dendrite, just by the total probability theorem, is equal to this expression over here. Basically, I'm saying that the probability of getting a stellar dendrite when we pick up a snowflake from the ground is the probability that the previous snowflake was a stellar dendrite into the probability that the given the previous snowflake was a stellar dendrite, this snowflake is also going to be a stellar dendrite, plus the probability, just to have all the cases, that the previous one was not a stellar dendrite, multiply the probability of a stellar dendrite given it wasn't a stellar dendrite previously. Right? So we're including all of the cases. Both of these cases, which have been added together, are mutually exclusive. Right? This is just basic total probability theorem right here. So this is where the trick of the problem comes into picture. Now, first of all, let's just call the probability of the getting a stellar dendrite as x. X is the value that we're calculating here. Now, look at the expression over here at the right. We know this value and we also know this value. Problem is we don't know this value, right? Let's say we just call this y, and this will automatically will just become 1 minus y. So to understand what y would be, I would think of this as a steady state. Now, what do I mean by a steady state? Well, I mean that since we've been asked the probability that if we pick up a snowflake from the ground, what is the probability of it being a stellar dendrite? And now, if I ask you, what is the probability of the previous snowflake, if it were picked up from the ground, being a stellar dendrite, right? The trick is to understand that this is the exact same as the probability of a previous stellar dendrite. The probability of picking up a snowflake from the ground, the present moment, is the exact same as the probability of the previous snowflake that was lying on the ground to be a stellar dendrite. So since we know that y is also equal to x, the equation boils down real quick. It's just that we had to realize that the probability of picking up a stellar dendrite at any point of time, at any part in the sequence, is the exact same, equal to x. When plugging in the value x, we get x is equal to x times p plus 1 minus x times q. And solving this equation, we get the value for x as x equals to q over 1 minus p plus q, which is the answer. This over here, this fraction, is the probability of picking up a snowflake and finding out it's a stellar dendrite. One doubt that you guys might have is that you might be confusing this x with the value p over here, right? This is a doubt a few people have in this problem, that they start to confuse the probability of picking up a stellar dendrite with the probability of picking up a stellar dendrite given the previous snowflake was a stellar dendrite. These are two completely different events and have no relation, right? So don't plug in this value as p. That is not correct, because this over here, this event is also including the fact that there's additional information that the previous snowflake was a stellar dendrite. So This is additional information, and that completely changes the value of the probability. So if this value is P, that has no relation with this value being anywhere near P, right? So that's why we take it to be X. And this is actually the value that has been asked of us. I hope you guys understood this solution, and thanks for watching.